minutes left. You're gonna get a 2-minute warning, which means you need to wrap up whatever you are, because I'll have some questions at the end, okay?
Okay. Okay, so I did my project on preserving brutalism in the DC metro system. So, what is brutalism? So, brutalism is an architectural style, and it comes from the French term béton brut, meaning raw concrete, and it's characterized by really large, unpainted concrete slabs as a construction material, and it's like very simple, very angular. It was popularized in the 1960s and 70s, especially in DC, and that was sort of because when that style was becoming popular, but also because through urban renewal, DC was building a lot of new buildings, and brutalism was good because the buildings needed to be nondescript because they're government buildings, and brutalism sort of fit that form. They're not so recognizable like the White House or anything like that. So examples include L'Enfant Plaza, the Hirshhorn Museum, and the Herbert Humphrey Building, which is where the Department of Health and Human Services is. And these are all sort of in the southwest area of DC, which is where they're mostly clustered. So public opinion on brutalism, that's really mainly what I tried to approach sort of through my project. Oh my god.
Try to go straight up and down and hit a little hard.
Okay.
There we go, okay.
That works. So when brutalism first emerged, it was thought it was really sort of modern and groundbreaking, and it was seen as really sort of an artistic style. But nowadays, most people find brutalism really sort of cold, dark, dated. It's a really, really unpopular style. People hate it. Brutalist buildings are getting demolished everywhere. So I am definitely in the minority in this. I think brutalism is a really interesting style. I love it. I think it's amazing. I think it's so cool. I think it still looks really modern, and I think like that is where the University of San Diego's, that's their library. And I think that is still an objectively sort of modern, interesting looking building that's also in the brutalist style. So Metro, why is the Metro brutalist? Because it is. So in 1966, the architect Harry Weiss was chosen as the architect of the Metro, and he has sort of made a name as being a very modernist designer out of Chicago. And so Weiss wanted the system to be really the opposite of what was the typical subway style at the time, which is really characterized by New York subway. So he wanted it to be really open, really harmonious. So in New York, all of the stations look a little different. You know, the pillars are different colored. The signs are made up of mosaic tiles and they all look different. But in DC, as you know, all the stations are pretty much identical. He wanted them to be really clean. So this is actually one thing I didn't know. But in the Metro, the platform is offset from the wall a little bit, and that was to deter graffiti. So in the Metro, as I'm sure you've noticed, there's not a lot of graffiti. It's still very sort of pure and clean, and we made that purposefully. They also wanted it to be safe. So in New York, there's a lot of pillars, a lot of corners, and that is sort of opening people up to being robbed, sort of drug use, stuff where when you can be out of the main line of sight, bad stuff can happen in a subway. And so we purposely made it really, really open and made the mezzanines where the Metro workers are, he made them high up so you could always have a vantage point and sort of see everything that was going on. So you can see really open. Oh, and this is just comparing sort of a typical New York City subway station, very low, dark, or not necessarily dark, but a lot of pillars versus Bethesda Metro Station. So much more open, much larger. And Weiss also purposely made it, he wanted to evoke sort of the style of like grandeur and the sort of chateau-esque style of the 1800s. So that's why he has these very large vaulted ceilings, because they also wanted to sort of make it still keeping in that sort of very like stately government style that a lot of DC architecture is known for. So this is really what my project is, which is the painting of metro stations. So the Washington Metropolitan Area Transit Authority first painted the Farragut North Station in 1992, and they whitewashed it. So they painted white or like a light gray. And so since then, 8 stations have been painted, and most of those are sort of on the blue or the orange and the silver line, with a couple, like Union Station. Union Station was the most recently painted in 2017, and that was sort of what reinvigorated the debate about whether metro stations should be painted or not. So this is done pretty much exclusively in response to lighting complaints. I think if there's one thing we did really poorly, it's that metro stations are really dark. All the lighting is indirect, and that's been a complaint for years. So that metro stations are too dark, and they sort of look dirty because of that, combined with the raw concrete. So, right, as I said, these complaints are definitely legitimate. Metro stations are dark, but it breaks a cardinal rule of brutalism, which is that for a structure to be truly brutalist, it's not painted. And, you know, béton brut with raw concrete, you don't paint it. It sort of goes along with that sort of simple style brutalism. So, at what cost, right? So here, I don't know if you guys can see really well in the back, but so this whole right side is painted. This side is not. And it's, I think, a little jarring when you see it in person. It definitely brightens the stations. I think you also lose a lot of depth, right? And it's, especially, it also breaks the harmony of the system. It's a lot easier to tell which stations are painted and not, and it's a lot more jarring because all the stations are identical. So you go for, you know, if you're riding the metro train, you do 12 stops where they all look the same, and you pull into Union Station, and it's really, really bright and really harsh. So, some solutions. So, Metro has actually sort of generated a solution by accident. So, Metro in 2016 introduced a Back to Good campaign, which is all about basically fixing Metro after a long period of disrepair. So it incorporates like fixing escalators, sort of cutting back on delay time, and also fixing lighting. So one of the biggest things they've done, which has been really, really successful and really great, is they've brightened it through LEDs and pressure washing, right? So it's especially noticeable on the floor when the train comes, all those little lights that blink, for years they were like red, or like an orangish, and you couldn't see them, and they just looked grimy and looked old and dated. So now Metro's put in LEDs, which makes it look really nice, and it brightens stations on its own. And they've also pressure washed some stations. So there isn't really a need to paint and sort of destroy brutalism and also Weiss's legacy by painting. So I think it all boils down to the issue of historic preservation. So what can DC learn from New York's Penn Station? So Penn Station in the 1900s was this really, really nice Beaux Arts style station. And this is a station in probably the 50s. And then in 1963, they decided we want a new, more modern, sort of better looking station. And they demolished it and built this, which I think has, in the long arc of history, looks a lot worse. And this really kicked off the modern historic preservation movement in the United States. So I think that it's a slippery slope for Metro, and that the takeaway should be that brutalism in the Metro should be preserved because it's historic and as much of a DC landmark, I think, is like the Washington Monument. Not necessarily because it looks the best, but I think it's a historic thing, and I think we need to take in the importance of preserving our historic architecture and not ruining it for the sake of modernity. So,
Okay, the product. What's the product for your piece?
Oh, right. So for the product, I essentially summarized this in a letter which I sent out to the 14 members of the board of directors of Metro and also to the CEO of the Washington Metropolitan Area Transit Authority.
Is there a copy of the letter?
Yeah, it's in there.
Good, okay.
I have one right here if you want to see it now.
Well, just give me so the letter states your love and support for brutalism as a historic preservation
Yeah,
issue.
I definitely go a little bit more into the idea of historic preservation in that than I did in this.
Okay. And you sent it out to all the board members. Did you try to contact preservation societies like the
I
DC
did
Historic
not. I
Preservation?
think that's one thing I probably
Okay.
should have done.
That maybe would be an addition. Okay. I think it's really interesting. You know, I'm a Washington D.C. native, and the Metro opened when I was 7 years old. So I've always got a bit on the Metro. I've never considered. Well, I mean, I guess I have considered because it is really dark, and some people think it's really ugly.
Right.
And Southwest Washington D.C. is brutally ugly. I guess no pun intended.
Right.
But it is because there's a lot of apartment buildings that I think that have very similar style.
Yeah.
Obviously, L'Enfant Plaza is in Southwest. If you go further into the neighborhoods too, you know, it's got all those are kind of brutalistic and there's some other 60s styles going on.
Right.
So what is your hope? Like, what's your hope that would happen? What would you like to happen?
My hope would be that Metro would definitely continue sort of the LED lighting and the pressure washing and not paint the stations anymore. Because I think they've done a really great job with the other stuff. I think there's not a whole lot of need for the other stations. I also hope that people look at Metro from a more historic purpose. I think one challenge I had with this project was not having it come off as pretentious and like really architectural. Like how I struggle with the idea of like for someone who's just like a commuter who doesn't just wants to get from place to place, they don't care about the architecture. How do you make this important to them and make them sort of believe this? And so that I've still sort of struggled with. I'm still not exactly sure, but I'm hoping this
That's good. The historic preservation aspect makes me feel pretty old. Really old, actually. Thanks a lot. Appreciate that. All right. So what about the role of new stations? Because, you know, there are obviously new stations, and I'm thinking like maybe, it's a station before you, the station's at Noma, the Noma station. And that obviously doesn't, you know, deal with any of those issues of brutalism. It's outside.
Right. it's
It's steel. It's a little more glass.
Yeah.
And some of the newer ones, I guess the Silver Line will have elements of that too.
Yeah. So I think the Silver Line, again, I'm biased because I like brutalism. I think it's great. But I think the Silver Line is good, and it definitely does a better job of making the architecture of the system more approachable, and it's definitely more popular. But a lot of people feel that it neglects sort of the original elements of the Metro. Like, for example, like most of the signs in the Metro, there's big round pillars, and none of the Silver Line station, and that, you know, goes for outside stations that were built in the 70s too. All the stations have them. The Silver Line doesn't have those pillars. All the signs are done in a different way. So I think like if you're not gonna build in the necessarily like really harsh brutalist style, maybe just keep the pillars as like an homage to Harry Reese and the original design. I would say that. Metro and the Transit Authority doesn't agree. They want to make it totally modern, but I think again that breaks with the sort of original idea of having harmony through all the stations.
Mr. Euler, I know you want to jump in on brutalism.
You know, you touched on this. I think there's something maybe bigger in there, which is I'm not a native of Washington, but I came when I was 18 to go to college, and I visited here a lot as a kid. And the Metro to me as a little kid was, you know, really cool and exciting and kind of space age. And really, in my mind, it is almost what I associated with Washington. It does give Washington sort of its character and its flavor. I think even more than like the Washington Monument, which is they belong to the nation, you know. But the Metro is sort of an element of kind of DC character.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if you emphasize that in your communication
I think that I may have touched on it a little bit, but it's definitely something, like I was talking to my mom about it, and I was like, I feel like if you made the Metro like sort of this like made in DC pride thing, people in DC love that, right? Every shirt has like made in DC, and like everything has that. And I think if you also sort of changed the idea of Metro into something more of that and being like, this is something that's unique to Washington, it doesn't look like anything else, and like, you know, it's the second or third largest commuter system in the nation. I think that could also help to change public opinion.
What about the
Argument.
relationship to the Purple Line? I don't even know. What are the Purple Line stations gonna look like? Do you know?
So the Purple Line is a little different because it's a light rail system, so it's going to be it's more like a trolley car system.
Okay, so it won't have any of the architectural
A
similarities.
little bit, because some of them, like I know, like some of the stations are incorporated into metro stations. So there's Bethesda station is going to be also a Purple Line station. Silver Spring, College Park, and New Carrollton are all going to be sort of the Purple Line's going to be just be stuck in there. But other than that, it's going to be all again sort of all modern. But that is actually an interesting idea that I didn't really consider, is making it sort of more
Okay.
metro-y.
If you get a response,
Yeah.
let us know.
Yeah, I will.
I would be fascinated to
Yeah.
know if you get a response and what it would be.
Yeah.
That's great. Good job, Jack.